Kia ora, good evening. The Easy Rider trial continued today at the Invercargill District Court. The court today heard from independent marine expert Michael Pearson, who questioned decisions made by Easy Rider skipper Riwai Karatai prior to the ill-fated voyage. Mr Pearson pointed out that Mr Karatai was an unlicensed skipper who had taken out what he believed was an overloaded vessel in questionable conditions with too many people on board. He also questioned Mr Karatai's choice of route for the voyage. Easy Rider owner and sole company board member Gloria Davis will begin the case for the defence tomorrow. Ms Davis and her company face 10 charges laid by Maritime New Zealand in relation to the sinking, which led to the deaths of 8 crew and passengers. A group of Southern rural firefighters wing their way to Victoria, Australia tomorrow to aid their stretched blaze-battling Australian counterparts. 5 Southern rural firefighters are part of a contingent of 22 from around the country, travelling to the state of Victoria to assist in firefighting a number of large-scale fires that have raged for weeks. The Southern crew have experience in tree felling and conservation and will fight fire with fire using fire breaks and backburning in the absence of water. The reciprocal supply of firefighters is part of an agreement with Australia that's been in place for 12 years. A group of locals have a shared vision for the northern Southland township of Lumsden and hope to make it the gateway to Southland using the newly created Around the Mountains cycle trail as a drawcart. The Lumsden Heritage Trust and local authorities are hopeful the newly finished Around the Mountains cycle trail will bring a flush of cycling tourists to the town.
We've found a very receptive welcome with District Council, because I think they realise too that we really need to have something here, and not just something, but an atmosphere and an environment here that will attract people.
It's hoped reinventing the railway platform and relocating a train will be a drawcart to cyclists and others passing through.
We've found a diesel loco which we'll have down the end of this platform soon, and at the same time we rediscovered the old steam trains that are in the river here. And we've got resource consent now to excavate them and get them out and put them on display, plus other railway memorabilia that we've been chasing generally. And it's our intention to create a precinct around here, particularly around the station, with the train and with some of the other railway stuff, and with the museum that we want to revive that sits inside the station, to have something that people will want to ride the extra couple of Ks coming south.
An old jail from the area has been recently relocated, and there's another unused building they'd like to make use of.
There's an old church here, the All Saints Church, built in 1888, that's really past its use-by date so far as the Anglican Church is concerned. But it's a lovely old building, so our intention is to locate it just over by the trees over there, and repurpose it as a war memorial museum, particularly with regard to World War 100 coming up.
The group plans to have a multimedia display featuring biographies of men from the area who served in the First World War and their lives thereafter. Locals are now exploring accommodation options for riders, while others are looking at cycling-friendly businesses.
People have been talking about a bicycle, maintenance repair kind of place and that sort of thing. But more than that, the hospo side of things.
The old post office is being redeveloped as a 50s hot rod themed bar, and the local pub is set to get a new beer garden.
Things that may have happened in time anyway have been accelerated by the fact that we're going to have maybe 10,000 people, hopefully, coming down the line, But we've also got 500,000 cars going past every year, and so there's lots of good reasons to do things in what is really a pretty nice little town. But the rail trail helps.
Mr Hanna says the trail's a blessing for the area.
We just want to finish it off by bringing it right into town, and hopefully bringing it right here to the railway station, which I think is a really appropriate place for a rail trail to terminate.
Schools around the south reopened this week and police are reminding motorists to take care as congestion picks up around school zones. It's the unpredictability of New Zealand's youngest road users that has police concerned as they walk, bike and bus to school, some for the first time. Parents are being encouraged to re-establish safe walking and biking habits with children, even on well-travelled routes. For motorists, a reminder to travel no more than 20 kilometres per hour past a stationary school bus and to obey the permanent 4 kilometre per hour tolerance around schools that's been in place since 2007. Stay with us. Up after the break, Bluff's getting a makeover in more ways than one. Welcome back. Staff and animals at Invercargill's SPCA shelter near Woodend, Invercargill, have relocated to the new purpose-built animal ark. The new ark features underfloor heating and is much more spacious, providing animals with a cleaner, healthier and warmer environment. To ensure the new environment is kept clean and hygienic, donations of new animal bedding, litter trays and essentials like shovels and brooms are also being sought. The previous collection of sheds and makeshift shelter buildings have now been removed. SPCA Operations Manager Richard Hay says work is ongoing and will continue ahead of the grand opening this Saturday.
Richard, before we find out about how the building's going, who's our wee friend?
Oh, we haven't got a name for this wee friend yet, but we've got half a dozen of these. It'll be another 4 or 5 weeks before they come up for adoption. But they're beautiful wee puppies. Yeah, it's hard to break away from this place.
How is the building itself? The grand opening's on Saturday. How are things going? Teething problems anywhere?
Yeah, everything's going well towards the opening, which, as you say, is next Saturday. So the official opening's in the morning, open to the public in the afternoon, which will be from 12 o'clock on. So there's a lot of activities happening around that, especially for kids. So everybody's welcome to come down. We're expecting a lot of people. The issue's going to be car parking, so hopefully people will come and go pretty early in the piece for that. As far as the building is concerned, it's not going to be completely finished, but it was never intended to be completely finished for the opening. But by that I mean there's some landscaping to do and a wee bit of curbing and stuff like that, but generally the thing will be ready.
And you'd encourage people maybe if they've got a few cans of cat or dog food to bring them on Saturday?
Well, it's always an issue with us. We've got to feed the animals, of course, and it's a very, very major expense. And we're totally reliant really on support from the community, from community groups, funders and also the public in assisting. So if people can come along with anything that would help in the way of wet or dry food, that would always be welcome at any stage.
The Southland District Council held its first meeting of 2014 today and took the opportunity to launch the district's new book bus. The District Council's been running a book bus service for 25 years. This new mobile library is the 5th such vehicle, but unlike its predecessors, this bus was purpose-built for the task. Southland District Libraries Manager Linda Hodge says the new book bus will meet the demands of Southland residents and will be visible on the roads with its exterior graphics. The book bus is also equipped to conduct online council services and has an FPOS terminal installed. Mrs. Hodge says residents can pay their rates online, among other things, so it's very much like a mobile office and library. Also a feature of the first District Council meeting was the presentation by Mayor Gary Tong of the Southland District Youth Council Community Spirit Award to Gavin Reid. 2024 is, you would think, a long way off, but not according to Bluff 2024 Rejuvenation Trust Chair Steve Mitchell. Bluff was the first European settlement in New Zealand and its bicentennial is expected to be a celebration of national significance. The Trust was recently awarded just over $9,000 by the City Council to help with the town's rejuvenation, and Phase 1, the rejuvenation of the town's entrance, is already underway.
Well, what our public meeting when we first formed a year and a half ago told us was that the people of Bluff wanted the entrance cleaned up, and so we're doing it over 3 stages over 3 years, and this is the first stage. So we'll start from the edge of town just here and to where they've just finished there, and then the next 2 stages over the next 2 years.
What will happen here? You're obviously going to do some plantings and that sort of thing?
Indeed. what we're doing is just clearing at the moment, then we'll spray to discourage the enthusiastic bracken and broom that we have here, and be putting in native plants and a little bit of landscaping, which is being designed for us by the Parks and Reserves Department.
Yes, Council are very much on board, aren't they? Firstly, funding-wise and with other help.
Indeed they have. They're very supportive of the urban rejuvenation program, and they've allowed us money to pay for this clearing and spraying, and also in principle some money for an entrance statement which will be on the rock that's just behind me.
What's the community support been like? You have no shortage of volunteers when work needs to be done?
No, we've got a great group of people, 20 or 30 people that come out when they can when we're working on a project, and we're hoping we'll get more people involved with this particular project because it's highly visible and really going to make a difference to the town.
And as part of its focus on urban rejuvenation, the Invercargill City Council is soon to begin clearing 55 overgrown sections in Bluff. Environmental Health Services Manager John Youngson says it was decided to focus on tidying up the overgrown sections in Bluff after it had been assessed that 70 sections did not comply with the Council's environmental health bylaw. The Council wrote to the owners of these addresses, and 55 of them have not responded to formal requests to tidy up their sections. The cost to clear the sections is expected to be around $73,000, which Council will recoup from the property's owners. Students from northern India are being targeted to study internationally recognised qualifications at the Southland Institute of Technology. One education consultant who's worked with SIT for more than 4 years says over 35 students from India's northern regions have studied at SIT so far, and that number is set to grow.
When student came to us, they already research. So as per the student research, SIT is now more demanding in India. Invercargill community supports students. I send students to all of the New Zealand, but here community is very strong. Most of our students get accommodation here. They live in with the families. So I am very thankful to the Invercargill community.
As far as students go, what sort of subjects are they taking up here? Is their education not available in India to the same level as they're getting here?
See, education in India is very different from the New Zealand. Here, student will get multicultural environment. Student will get international exposure, which you can't get in your own country. So most of our students came here for the business qualification. The business qualification have in SIT is very different from all of other in the New Zealand. The business enterprise course, the SIT have level 8, that is exclusive. The benefit which student will get is very much the course contents and the business enterprise subjects. Though most of students in India now like these courses.
Are you projecting that you'll be bringing more students through from India to this part of New Zealand?
Yes, now India is a very, you can see SIT is a very growing market for India. When student came to us, he has 3-4 options. First, they want, if they are looking Auckland, their name Unitec. If they want to come in Southland, their option is SIT.
Next up on sport, we catch up with Steel coach Janine Southby ahead of the season. That's after the weather next. From the news team, good night.